going to make a different breakfast this morning. It's going to be a toasted breakfast sandwich. Tina gave me a little Joey omelet maker, and I played around with it yesterday and figured out how to use it to make toasted breakfast sandwiches, and it does a real good job, and I thought I'd make that for you this morning. And I might even follow it up with a story. Now you start out, I need the, Tina, if you'd hand me the spray over there. This is canola spray. I normally use olive oil spray, but I use this. Now, the bun. First thing I need is a bun.
I'm seeing this over. That's right. That's fine.
Yeah. And, well, I hear the clock talking to me. It has a top and a bottom, and I put the bottom in first, right here. And then give me the hash browns and sausage. And I call these my hash browns. They're actually cut up
French fries.
French fries. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the sausage would have to be on the bottom, of course. Okay, I need the egg now. And with any luck at all, yep, it slid right off. Get it back on there as much as you can. The cheese. And salt and pepper the egg at this time. Cheese on there. And then the other half goes on the top, this side up, and spray it. And close the little pan down on top of it. Now I want to start right now and time it 2 minutes. Okay, it's been 2 minutes, and we turn it over. And another 2 minutes. Okay, it's been 2 minutes. Check it, see what it looks like. Oh yeah, that's all toasted on that side. Now, this needs a little bit more on that side, so I'm going to turn it back over for another minute. Okay, it's been a minute. Check it here. Oh yeah. So it's time to take it up to the plate. There it is, blazing hot, ready for breakfast. I'll go to the table, cup of coffee. Tina's got it already poured over there. And I'll bet that thing's gonna be good.
Looks good.
Here it is on the table, and gonna see how this sucker tastes. You know, that's just a pretty darn good breakfast sandwich. Never had a toasted sandwich for breakfast before, but I have now. Eggs cooked just right. You can taste the cheese and sausage, and it was so easy to make. So you ought to make one of these. Just try it yourself if you have a little omelet maker. Incidentally, those sold for about $15 at the time. You could probably find one in the thrift store for $3 anymore. I'm sure that most people put them in the bottom of their oven or something like that and forgot them the same way I did. So I'm going to finish my breakfast and then I'll tell you a story. Well, that was a good breakfast. Have to do that more often. Couldn't even buy a sandwich that good from a drive-up window. But I promised you a story, so here it is. When we got to Korea in 1951, we were assigned to Air Base K-1. When Japan had Korea under their occupation before the war, they built several landing strips over there, and they had, I don't know if they're Japanese or Korean names, but when the Americans came in, they didn't want to bother with those names, so they just simply numbered them, starting with number 1 in the furthest south and going north. And that strip we were on had 4,200 feet of runway, and it was gravel, and not a very big airport for modern day airplanes. And the 1st Marine Air Wing had Corsairs there. And also there was the South Korean Air Force Academy was located there. And it only had about 30 cadets, and they had an airplane. And about all they ever did with the airplane was roll it out and wash it, leave it out all day, roll it back in the hangar at night. Nobody had ever seen it fly, and when we took over, it was in the way. So they moved the academy up to near Seoul, and so they said, take this airplane down at the end of the runway and tie it down out of the way. So it was towed down there and lashed down to the ground, and there's where it sat. And one Sunday morning, we were 3 guys and I were out driving around in the Jeep and went down to see it. And I took these pictures of it, and that is one big biplane. It's twice as big as the Stearman, which was a trainer in the American trainer, and I'd flown them for hours. But I checked it over, and it looked like it would fly, and had a half tank of gas, but the tires were half flat, and so I told this one guy who worked in a motor pool, I said, why don't you go down to the motor pool and get the compressor truck and bring it up here? This thing's got an air starter on it, and it's operated by compressed air that has a pump on the engine that keeps it pumped up. Evidently has a leak in it because the gauge shows 0. And there's no way that I could hand prop that thing as high as up over the ground as the engine is on it. And so he went down there, came up and aired up the tires. They were half flat. And I don't know what kind of adapter he used to get to that tank to fill it up to 200 pounds. I got in it and did the pre-flight and cranked it over a few turns, and the old engine, all the noise and smoke, and it started and settled out and ran good and checked out. And I says, you guys, oh, and incidentally, this thing had a front cockpit with two side-by-side seats, and the rear cockpit where the pilot flew it had a single seat back there. So I said, you guys get in the front seats there and I'll take you for a ride. And they got in and we taxied out on the runway and took off and flew around over the place for about half hour. Fun airplane to fly, big old heavy, slow, noisy airplane. And I landed and we taxied back up there and we were tying it down and we looked up and here came a Jeep flying down the runway and I looked at it and I said, oh my God, that's Colonel Hayes, commanding officer, coming down here. And one of the guys says, boy, you're in trouble. And he slid to a stop and got out and says, Foreman, what the hell are you doing? If you crashed that damn thing and killed yourselves, I'd have to fill out paperwork the rest of my life. Now, tie it down and don't ever come back here close to it. Yes, sir. And he turned around and left. And one of those other guys said, how did you get away with that? But anyway, that was my single time to fly in Korea. And I've always said that I flew the Korean Air Force airplane. But so sometime later, I was down that way and there was a whole bunch of people around it and they were trying to get it started. And they were using a crazy bungee system over the end of the prop, and they'd run back and stretch these bungee cords, and then they'd spin it through one compression, and they finally got it started that way, and it disappeared. I don't know where it went. But that was that was a great airplane to fly. And by the way, when the college was there, they assigned one of their cadets to me as a driver and interpreter. His name was Kim. And the first thing he did to get in the Jeep, and he said, beep, beep, here we go. And he was either full throttle or the brakes locked. That's the only thing he knew. And after about 30 minutes of that, I said, I'll tell you what, you can interpret for me, but I'm going to do the driving. And he's my driver interpreter for a couple months there. And then he went on somewhere else. But then years rolled by and I retire and everything, and I'm with Black Forest. And one of the owners of the glider port there also furnished and rented tow planes, tow gliders. And they furnished the tow planes for the Academy glider operation. And we'd go over there, various pilots would go over there and tow there. And I was towing there one day, and these Korean officers came by and see what was going on. And I noticed this one kept looking at me, and he finally walked up to me and he says, excuse me, aren't you Sergeant Foreman? And I said, well, I was sergeant at one time in my life, but that was when I was in Korea. And he says, yeah, I was your driver. And he was a general then. And we had a nice visit there and kind of talked over old times. And he was about third in command of the South Korean Air Force at that time. He'd really done well. But it's funny how things come in full circle. But God bless America, God bless Texas, and you folks have a great day. I know I'm going to. Bye.